We are talking about COVID. What do we know about the COVID vaccine? Of course, we're expecting the first bunch of 1 million doses today, as alluded by the health CS. We know that 244 million doses have been given. 53.3 million people have already been vaccinated worldwide, which represents about 0.69% of the population. And of course, Dr. here will also help us to unpack that. In Africa, COVID-19, of course, doses have started streaming in Kenya, among other countries like Ivory Coast and Ghana being some of the first countries in Africa to actually receive the first batch of the COVID-19 AstraZeneca vaccine. Of course, there are other vaccines that have been approved, including the Pfizer and BioNTech, the Moderna. We have the Russia's Sputnik, quite an interesting name, and of course Johnson & Johnson have also made strides when it comes to making a vaccine. 170 vaccines are in different developmental stages, so we do expect in the next couple of months to be having more than what we are currently having. And in Kenya, we also expect that the front line workers will be the first lot to receive the jab. That is the health workers and anybody that is working in the medical fraternity. And of course, our security boys and girls will also be receiving the same, as we also look at those people with conditions and the aged, so as to make sure that we do not record more cases of the virus here in the country. So much to actually look forward to in this live discussion. And right now I'm joined in studio by Madam Liz Gitau, who is the CEO of KMA, that is Kenya Medical Association. Karibu sana daktari.
Asante.
Well. A great day for Kenya, would you say?
Yeah, it is. As a health worker, I am quite excited that we actually get to have, in 2021, COVID-19 vaccine. I think we have had quite a, this March last year is when we got our first case in Kenya, and we are happy that within a year we actually have a vaccine to protect health workers and also to protect the public.
Oh yeah, of course. And if COVID was a human, we'll be celebrating a year next week.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes, and of course, mixed reactions.
Yeah, exactly.
Some Kenyans are skeptical about the vaccines, the efficacy. Other than that, of course, there are other logistical issues. We had issues with KEMSA, and Kenyans are like, are we sure we are not going to be entering into a deeper pit that we were already in? But why the skeptics are talking about the vaccine and its efficacy? This is a vaccine that it's a new disease, and it's a new vaccine that we have never had. Of course, we know about the BCGs and all the vaccines that we've had, the flu vaccine, as we were talking about earlier. But a lot of people are skeptical about it, and there's some, for lack of a better word, misguided reports that on the efficacy of these vaccines.
Pretty much with something new, you actually expect a bit of anxiety. And that is why, as health workers and also as a health professional association, KMA, we are coming out and we are saying, based on the amount of research that has been done in development, is that what we know is that the vaccine is safe and it has good efficacy to actually prevent symptomatic COVID-19 disease. So for sure, based on the studies that have been done so far, for governments all over the globe to be able to actually take conditional emergency approval for the vaccine, which is actually still in phase 3 of trial, to give their people, is that it has been shown that, one, it is safe, that we have not had an adverse event that would actually stop the trial, and that it has actually helped in terms of preventing symptomatic COVID-19 disease.
And yes, I understand that over 1 million people have already died because of COVID-19, but how comes the vaccine was developed so quickly? Looking at some of the ailments that we've had for years and years, we've never had even medicine for those, but now we have a vaccine less than perhaps a year and a half after we reported the first case in Wuhan.
So one, you'd attribute it to the level of innovation and technology that is around the world in this era, 21st century. Secondly is in terms of the focus that it actually got. With such an emergency in a crisis, all governments were actually desperate to actually get this vaccine. And you saw many governments actually put in billions of dollars for us to be able to develop the vaccine. So for sure, if you combine the amount of research and development and you're putting a focus to one thing, for sure, many people would actually be able to get to now the phase 3 trials that we are at.
And for a country like Kenya, how do we know that the vaccine is safe and very efficient? It's something with Kenyans is like they first of all like looking from the sidelines before they can say, yes, I think I can take the jab now.
Yeah, so one is that in terms of the trials that have been done across the world, and it has involved thousands of people, Kenyans have actually been involved in the Oxford AstraZeneca COVID vaccine trials, and we haven't developed any adverse effects, and we've seen that we have had efficacy. So for sure, in terms of its efficacy, I think pretty much we are sure that it is good for the current COVID-19 infections that we have, and possibly the second part is in terms of ensuring that people can actually trust the vaccine. As I saw in the Ministry of Health rollout plan, is that they intend that the leaders, including now the executive and the ministers, would actually be first online to actually give that confidence.
Apologies for that, but actually is something that we also want to put more confidence in Kenyans, because we've seen the US president and even the former president getting the jab. But before then, let's first of all cross over to the NCIC, where they're having a meeting with the Editors Guild, and Samuel Kobia, the chairman, is currently addressing the press.
The issues to do with peace, cohesion, integration, etc. Now, you have journalists who specialize in different areas, in different categories. Do you have journalists who specialize in reporting about the area that NCIC deals with? That we would like to engage you on that and actually do what John Kamau was suggesting, that if they need special training, we will be prepared to facilitate that. And then we'll know these really are the journalists that we deal with. So that's, that's one area that we want to work with you and have those who specialize in peace journalism or cohesion journalism, etc., etc. The second one is about ethics in the media ethics. And I would want, I know there is a code of conduct, whatever, but how can we deal with this in such a way that we will really put this as one of the most important areas that we deal with in media ethics? Of course, the social media is very difficult to deal with, but there are ways also of addressing it. So this is another area on media that we wanted to work with you on. Finally, is to suggest that we have regular sittings like we have today. And that also has been mentioned by the Deputy President and also Mr. John Kamau. Let me suggest that our two CEOs get it together, and whether we wanted to have such a sitting quarterly or bi-monthly, and then identify a date in the month that we can always ring fence and make sure that we'll be available for that, because this regular sitting will really help us. Those are the 3 points I wanted to make, and now I leave it to Honorable Engineer Philip Okundi to do his vote of thanks. Thank you.
Reverend Dr. Samuel Kobia there together with the Editors Guild management, and they are talking about Of course, talking about special training for journalists to enhance ethical reporting, and of course, making sure that during the rallies that we are currently seeing is that each and every one is responsible not to actually plunge the country into more problems when it comes to hate speech. And as we had looked at earlier, is the matter of the COVID-19 vaccine that is supposed to be landing in Kenya. Actually, the first batch is landing in Kenya tonight. And Dr.Liz is here with me from the Kenya Medical Association. Liz Gitau, karibu sana again. And we were looking at how the vaccine was developed so quickly. We know very well vaccines need a lot of time, they need a lot of trials, but we have a vaccine that we do not know what will happen after six months, 1 year, 10 years.
So pretty much looking at the millions of lives that we have lost during this COVID-19 pandemic. And that is what has informed the conditional emergency use of the various vaccines within the phase 3 clinical trials that we are at right now. So it's a risk-benefit look at things. We have not gotten to the level of licensing, but pretty much governments have taken indemnity that looking at the COVID-19 situation in our countries, we are actually, it's actually more beneficial to actually have the vaccine, even still within the phase 3 trials, as we look at how many people are actually responding well to the vaccine. And this is as a lesson learned to the amount of trial that has been going on over the past year or so, and we have found that it is good for COVID-19 infection.
And we've seen a lot of people skeptical, and looking at the internet, even if you Google COVID-19 vaccines side effects, we're talking about some side effects, others from mild to others talking about they really were hit with side effects. Is this something that we really need to be concerned about?
So this calls on the government to be very keen in terms of communication, and even for us as healthcare workers in terms of informing the public what to expect. Yes, all vaccines, including even the childhood vaccines, have various side effects that come with them as a drug, in essence. So we expect that we'll have mild and minimal side effects, and this would include headaches, would actually include some people develop fevers, muscle ache, and pain at the injection site. So this is a kind of communication you need to get out there that yes, there are side effects, they are minimal. We haven't gotten an adverse side effect that would actually cause the closure of the vaccine usage. But in terms of getting in touch with your healthcare provider, once you get the jab, you'll be able to be connected to your healthcare provider. Should you have any side effects, your healthcare provider should be able to take care of you.
To the specs of the vaccine, what exactly does it do, and can you be able to transmit the virus? We're talking about vaccines from 60% efficacy to 90-something%. None is 100%. What do we need to look out for? Can somebody transmit? Can you get? Do you have to still observe the COVID-19 protocols?
So vaccines are meant, one, to prevent disease or to prevent the symptoms of a disease. So in the case of COVID-19 vaccine, what we are preventing is symptomatic COVID-19 infection. So pretty much we still encourage Kenyans to continue with the COVID-19 prevention measures. That is, still wear your mask, still wash your hands, and still maintain social distance even after getting the vaccine. But it has not been shown that if you get the vaccine that you can get the disease. The vaccine itself does not give you the disease, but should you get in contact with another person with COVID-19, you may get the infection. What you might not get is symptomatic or severe disease from the infection.